Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this impromptu stream. So, if you will, I call it "Chilling with Newf Nukem," much like goofing with Newf back in the day. So, I just felt like jumping on for just a couple of minutes to just say hello to everybody. It's been a couple of weeks since essentially I've been on some podcasts and stuff. I've done some guesting and stuff, especially with the boys over at Gaming at Easy, which essentially is kind of like a modified version, I guess you could say, of sort of Gaming After Dark. It's a very similar panel. A lot of the same guys, Proto Foxy, Wicked Hot. They have Game Complainers, aka Perry. So those three guys kind of run that show. I think that was about. Oh no, Sir X Man is there as well. Sorry about that, Sir X. Almost forgot you there. So just kind of getting up to speed with everybody, what have I been up to, that sort of thing. Not a lot has changed really since I've kind of been away, since I've kind of stepped away from Gaming After Dark and podcasting in general. It's been a couple of months, I guess, in general. I've been giving it some contemplation about potentially coming back, starting something up. I mean, start up Gaming After Dark. See, the problem with that isn't the podcast itself or necessarily the panel, but it's the timing of Gaming After Dark. It's when it happens, the night it happens. Could I ask the guys to start up? Well, I don't know. Because they've since started their own podcast, so that's where it gets tricky now. And they more or less have, continued on with Tuesday nights and stuff, and see how it goes. So, I am considering it, but I haven't made any actual, choices or deductions on it yet. I did a little survey today via X, kind of asking people, should I stay away or should I come back? And I hate to say it, the love for me was not overly overwhelming. The majority of people are basically just telling me I should stay away. There was some really great comments, so some very supportive stuff and some very honest stuff. Like, I mean, obviously, anybody who knows me knows that I've tried various podcasts over the years, and some have worked pretty well and some haven't worked so well, that sort of thing. So, like I said, I never did this for money. I'm not doing this for, to get big. I mean, I've always said if it happened, I would be grateful for it. But it looks like, after over 10 years at this stuff, and, I always, like, people say, well, what do you, how are you better or how are you different? I wouldn't say I'm better than anybody in the podcast community. If anything, I would say, I'm not as good as a lot of the podcasters out there in many ways. I mean, a lot of the great podcasts that are out there, they have great production, almost like watching a television show to some degree. And these great intros and graphics and lots of overlays, and they're using OBS and they're using a lot of different things. And mine's pretty much straightforward. I'm on camera using StreamYard. Again, it's just, I always said I would invest in the platform if the platform invested in me. And that means, like, if I could get enough subscriptions, and there was enough interest in my shows, yeah, sure, I would invest more in it. But I don't want to be like, pumping a ton of money in, because at the end of the day, no matter how good your intro is, if people really care, I bet you can't list one podcast where you go, yeah, I remember that wicked intro, man, it was awesome, it's great tune or this great graphic or something like that, right? So it has to be something unique, it has to be something good, and that sort of thing. But like I said, it is great to see there is lots of love, and it also sucks that the majority of people are telling me, man, I should just really pack it in and just don't come back. Kind of disheartening, right? Because you think that people that love you and really enjoy what you do or enjoy the way you articulate or things like that would be kind of like, man, we'd love to have you come back. It doesn't matter if you start 50 podcasts, we'll watch every one of them. RWK, brother, what is going on? Good to see you in the house. Yeah, we got a couple of people here watching right now. By all means, leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about things, what your games you're playing, that sort of stuff. So, I'm getting thoughts to, if you look behind me, I'm going to move my head a little bit. This is actually a podcast I was almost going to do, and this was a while back. I had this graphic created. I thought it was really cool, and I've kept it because I was at one point thinking, man, I should, start up another, Xbox-centric podcast. But, then the kind of news just kind of went downhill with Xbox. It was just kind of like one thing after another. And I just didn't really feel like, man, like, how do I get on there and really, hype up or promote this brand without looking like a shill or an idiot or just lie about it? I can't lie that I'm not a big fan of a lot of the stuff that Xbox and Microsoft have basically done over the last couple of years. And I think that feeling is mutual amongst most of us. And I think even some of the big Xbox guys that have their own podcasts and I think deep down inside, they're not happy with some things either, but they're not coming out and admitting it, obviously. And I appreciate that, RWK. You're awesome too, man. A lot of you guys have stuck with me for years, and it's greatly appreciated. So I just wanted to come on tonight. Like I said, I put it up on X, and I'm just going to pull up my phone here. I want to just see where I'm at. Actually, I guess I can actually use my computer screen in front of me. I just want to see where I'm at in terms of the vote. I left it up for about a day. I actually pinned it. Sitting at 53.5% of people telling me I should just stay away, and 46.5% saying I should come back. Looking at some of the comments here, and there are some really good ones. Let me just see here. Some great stuff. And I mean, I got a shout out to the amazing Wilmy Hood. I mean, Wilmy summed it up, and I guess how a lot of people feel. It's like, love you to death, but you should leave it alone. You go through these cycles every few months where you start a new one, you kind of get mad if it doesn't get traction. And then, just take the time, enjoy games, enjoy just being real with you, dude. Grifting gets views now. That's about it. And he's a great point, and I appreciate the honesty, that sort of thing. And someone asked me, why did I stop the last one I had? And I said, well, again, I just didn't have quite the right feel that I was going for. And that's partly on me, and it is partly on the panel as well. And ultimately, it was just scheduling. Like Tuesday nights, primetime hour, just I think weekday nights just don't work really good for me to begin with. I had some great support from my good buddy Attack the Glitcher. I was hoping I'd probably come back. And a lot of guys are saying they're not really into podcasts that much anymore, that sort of thing. So, yeah, like I said, there's support and there's some honest opinions on it all, too. So, so that's kind of where I'm at. So, well, that's good, man. I'm glad you're able to get some games in, and hopefully we'll get to hook up and play again, perhaps on the weekend or something. Just let me know. Like I said, I've been able to get some really good games of Battlefield 6 in with the community, guys like my buddy Shamo, and some games with Odicon Ocelot, and we've been playing with Talos Ray has been there a lot of nights, fantastic. And who else? A lot of guys in the community. It's been a lot of fun. I'm loving Battlefield 6. I kind of suck at it, especially when you're going up against a lot of the PC guys who seem to have that absolutely, split second timing, and they're picking you off from a billion miles away. But regardless of all that, it's been a lot of fun. I'm really loving Battlefield 6. I'm trying to finish off the campaign. I think they did an amazing job with that too. It's not on the level of some of the past ones, but I don't think Battlefield's ever been known for having the most impactful campaigns, but they've had some really good ones. And I think this one is definitely decent. It feels good. It looks good. It's a nice addition to the game when you don't really feel like going in and getting your ass kicked. You just get into the campaign, follow some story and stuff like that. So, I got to commend them for that, right? So, but no, I'm glad you've been able to get some games in. But yeah, working sucks. But then again, like I said, it's one of those double-edged swords where if you work, you can afford the games, and then when you can afford the games, you can't afford the time to play them. So it's one of those things. Yeah. But I've been contemplating a couple things, and I think here's the bottom line. I think if I do come back, and I know I want your opinion on this, to be honest. I think if I make another podcast, I think I'm leaning on doing a solo gig. Okay. And I'll tell you why. Because if I do a solo gig, I don't have anybody that has to hold up an end of the bargain but me. If the channel is successful or it fails to be successful, it's on me. I don't have to worry about chemistry, and I don't have to worry about hurting anybody's feelings if things aren't going that well, or there's just a shift or whatever, and people will either tune in because they want to come out and hear what I got to say, or they're going to tune me out or whatever. So that's the thing. But I think a lot of the regulars would definitely come back for sure. So I am thinking about doing a podcast. I'm thinking about being a weekly one. I just don't really know the format. Some guys say do like all of the consoles. And to be quite honest with you, I'm actually leaning on going completely different. Not PlayStation or even Xbox, but actually just more Switch. I've been having a lot of fun with the Switch too. I think they got a great console, and I think it's going to be a massive success. And this holiday season will tell the tale if the console is going to really put the numbers in, and I think it will. I think Nintendo's going to have a great year. And now with, as much as I thought the Nintendo Switch 2 was expensive, which it still is, the fact that we're seeing stuff like, the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally X and all these things come out at a pretty steep price point starts to make the Switch look a little better. Now, I don't know how the Switch is going to fare when it comes to the average parent walking in and seeing this, what is it, $500 in the US and almost $800 Canadian, how that's going to fare in a couple of weeks' time when people start doing their holiday shopping. Plus, then the games are crazy. Like here in Canada, the Mario Kart game, to buy it physically, thank God it came with my console, but to buy that physically, it's $112 or something like that. It's absolutely crazy, man. So, yeah, I'm just saying right now, I'm contemplating potentially coming back, and yeah, that's exactly it, RWK. Like I just want to do something where, I think you can do a podcast without constantly focusing on sort of the negative side of things. Let's talk about great games that we played this week. Let's talk about amazing DLC. And let's talk about the stuff that works well in the industry, and talk about the great games that we're playing and the ways that we want to play them. I don't think we necessarily got to come in every week and, we got to talk about, who got laid off and who got fired this week and the financials of this company and all of that sort of stuff. Dreadpool, how are you, my brother? Good to see you. Like, I'd like it to be a little more upbeat, where people just want to come in and have a game conversation, have chat about nostalgia, chat about the old great games we played 40 years ago or 10 years ago, and talk about the cool shit we're playing this week, and talk about what developers are doing right, and not always about so much what they're doing wrong. Yeah, there's always going to be some stuff that you really can't avoid. It's hard to avoid the conversations, but I think there's enough good stuff going on, whether it be adaptive controllers or whether it be some upgrade to how we're, interacting and consuming our games and all sorts of stuff like that. Files of Horror, what is going on, man? What's going on, Harold? Good to see you, man. So that's kind of what I'm contemplating. Now, you guys think if I were to do another podcast, okay, if you were to do another podcast, do you think it should be a multi-plat podcast? Or do you think I should just kind of focus on one genre, perhaps my favorite, or again, perhaps Nintendo, because they're doing really well, they're bringing out great games. It's hard to hate on those guys, and they kind of cover two bases. They kind of cover a portable aspect of things, and then they cover like the traditional gaming experience, perhaps more so than other stuff. You know what I mean? It's good to see everybody in the chat, guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being here. Like, I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time tonight. I just want to get people's opinions. And if you don't catch this live, I'd love you to drop something in the chat and just let me know how you feel about things. If this is to happen, it's probably not happening anytime soon. And as a matter of fact, it might not even happen until 2026. But I'm just thinking about it. I do love talking about games. And every time I take a sabbatical from this stuff, I kind of get that itch. It's kind of like, man, I really want to get on and I want to talk to you guys. And I want to chat about games with people. I love it. I love the interaction. I love the interaction with the chat. You guys know that about me, that I love chatting with you, and I love seeing your comments, and I love seeing your questions. And obviously I love the stuff, when I do the voices. But now that might change. Whatever podcast I do in the future, I do want it to be a bit more acceptable. I want the podcast to be something that, is like, I don't want to get into religion. I don't want to get into politics, and I don't want to get into stuff that gets your channel constantly flagged. I want it to be something that you can enjoy, and a 13-year-old can enjoy. And it's just about the love of gaming. And I think a lot of people can do it. And how would I do it? Well, hopefully I could still be entertaining, and I could still be funny. And, and I got a lot of ideas, things I'm going to have to put down on paper, and hopefully I can get them to work. Maybe I can bring in some of those past things, but make them a little bit less rated R. You know what I mean? Yeah, and absolutely. At the end of the day, it's do what you feel you want. Whether two people show up to watch me do a podcast or it's 40, that really doesn't change. It hasn't been that way for years. I mean, I generally do a podcast, and I'm lucky if I get 32. But you know what? I always say that whether it's 2 people or 32, I appreciate every one. And, some people say, so you only got 32 people, but just think about that. Obviously, yeah, you might only have, say, 32 people in the chat, but I also think that's 32 amazing people that took time out of their day to come out and just enjoy gaming and talk with everybody from the community. And I would really more than anything, the thing I would love is to get more people involved in community game days, because I think they're phenomenal. I think people are missing the boat here. And I think that I don't know if the big podcasters understand or the understatement of how cool it is to go out there and game with people that you either watch on a day-to-day basis or that sort of stuff. I think that shit's huge. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love playing with some of the big podcasters and vice versa. And I've had people say to me, man, it's so cool to play with Newf Nukem. He's such a chill dude and he's fun to play games with and stuff like that. So I really love to have that happen. But, I've been trying that for a while and it always seems to stagnate. And I get it. I take full responsibility to you for some of the game days because it's hard because most people now with community game day, we're all multi-console owners and stuff. So a lot of times what happens is people just don't have the games downloaded. Everybody kind of moves on to the latest and greatest game. Depends on how easy the lobbies are to set up and navigate. Depends on, I know a lot of times I'll be, let's play this game. And then you get there like a day before it happens and everybody realizes, oh shit, I don't have my game downloaded. So start tomorrow and put it off. No, I would love to start, but I do want to, if I'm going to come back and do this RWK, I do want to do it right. I do want to do it for the right reasons. And I want it to be something sustainable and long lasting. And that's what I said. Like I said, ultimately, if I come back and I do it at least by myself, there's a couple of things I'm looking at. I mean, one, I want shorter run times. I don't want to sit here, like every podcast does not need to be 2 hours plus. I think a decent podcast with all the right info, done at the right pacing. And this is where it gets easier when you do it by yourself. It's because you're not worried about person A talking for 10 minutes and person B talks for 30 seconds and you're doing this overlap. But I think to come in and try to stay on point with at least an hour, it should be sufficient time to go over what's new, the latest in the news, the latest games, the kind of reviews that they're getting, that sort of stuff, and do it in a way that it doesn't feel like I'm just here harping on Xbox and harping on PlayStation or harping on Nintendo, whatever. That, yeah, the game, okay, let's say the game gets a 6 out of 10. Okay, well, let's talk about, the things the game did right, why some people liked it, perhaps why people didn't, and how that developer can perhaps, continue to make another game and avoid some of those follies that perhaps ruined it for the first one. And like I said, if I do a solo show, I can have a few guests, maybe one or maybe two, and bring in people with different experiences and different backgrounds. It would be nice to actually do more like one-on-one developer interviews. See how things are going, that sort of thing. I think something like that would have potential. Now, like I said, if it's a multi-podcast or multi-platform podcast, the first thing I got to worry about is the title. It's got to be something that nobody else has done, and it's got to be something that's kind of catchy and kind of cool. And Gaming After Dark was great. I love the title of that podcast, and obviously Gaming After Dark really exemplified the mood and the atmosphere that podcast brought, obviously with a lot of, that rated R innuendo and stuff like that. So, man, I had a lot of fun. Like I said, I do miss this and I miss the community. You guys are amazing. It's RWK, Harold, Dreadpool, the list goes on, shout out to everybody and shout out to everybody who supported me. It's kind of sad that over the past little while, whatever happened, a lot of guys have tried to drop me like, especially, it really hurts, especially from the ones that I basically brought into this podcasting scene, and they turn their back on me and think, what, I'm a piece of shit because I had an opinion that doesn't quite align with yours. Like, I think that's awful. You can disagree and I can disagree and we can agree to disagree. Battlefield 6. Well, that's a great point, and that's kind of what I'm looking at as well, Stevie Mac, and good to see you too, brother. It's like I can do that podcast, and I can have the Battlefield segment of the day. What's the popular map? What was the coolest kill? Now, if I had the right technology, it'd be cool if, we could get people from the chat to kind of send like the coolest clip or something. I could be able to show it. Now, there's ways of doing it. I just have to sit up and do it. But that'd be pretty cool. Like, here's the coolest kill of the week. And this one comes from Stevie Mac, or this one comes from Dread, or whatever, Stuff like that would be awesome. Or, different things is really incorporating. That's something a lot of podcasts haven't done. And maybe you give me a great idea, is that while the podcast is, largely me and my big fat head talking in front of the screen, so the podcast is really like about the community. It's about achievements and things within the community that people are accomplishing and stuff like that. It'd be really cool, like a cool quote or a cool something from Twitter. Like what's hot on X this week? What are the community saying, right? How many times will pee poo pee poo? Yes, pee poo pee poo. That was fucking funny. Oh my God. And for those who don't know, yes, we played a match the other night. Of course, I'm getting a little bit frustrated, and I keep getting killed by this guy. And Talos was in the chat, and Talos just was roaring because I'd be like, yeah, man, I just got killed by this pee-poo. And I'm like, what is the guy, like 5 years old, and he's playing Battlefield 6 and sniping me from across the map? And it was absolutely hilarious. Like, just some of the names are like that that literally sounds like the common name you'd see in a game where, like I said, the guy's like probably 6 years old or something, or he's 10, and he just thinks it's funny to talk about farts and shit jokes. I don't know. But yeah, so stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like make it a very interactive podcast. It's that really brings the community into the scene, makes everybody feel like they're contributing a part of the show. And again, and even have guests from the community. And that's what's great, because you never know when you're going to discover the next, the hot YouTuber or whatever be the case. A lot of guys that got started on Gaming After Dark over the past, pretty much 7-8 years. The biggest one right now is obviously Middle-Aged Game Guy. You guys know him, the Mag. Mag is doing phenomenally well. And I knew he would. He came on Gaming After Dark. He had a great way of articulating. He had lots of charisma. And I saw that from the moment I talked to him. But this is a guy that hovered in my chats for, a couple of years. He was actually called Dead Meat at the time. Then the Middle-Aged Game Guy. I remember this Dead Meat guy would always be in the chats, watching Gaming After Dark, watching a few other shows I was part of. And eventually you just come to the, you get this DM and say, hey, man, I love the show and I'd love to be on sometime. And I think this would be a lot of fun. And I'm like, man, that's cool. Just, let me know and I'll get you on. Eventually he changed his name. And then he said, yeah, I remember me, I was Dead Meat, but now it's Middle-Aged Game Guy. I'm like, yeah, man, come on the show sometime. So he comes on Gaming After Dark, hits it off immediately with me and Titan Drago. And before I even really had a chance to extend the olive branch, which is funny, Mr. Boomstick XL was actually watching the show that night. And saw Mag and was kind of like, man, I think this guy's good, and he'd be really great with on his podcast, right? And that's cool. So Mag obviously took the invitation and he started out there, and then I literally probably not even a couple of days later or something, I said, dude, would you like to be a part of Gaming After Dark? And he said, absolutely, I'm all in. But we all know the story. It's like everything. People get busy with life and things come up. And he left Gaming After Dark probably just after a year onto the show. And, did a few guest spots on different people's stuff and was busy with work. And the next thing I know, he's, now he's a co-panel member of XNC Podcasts with Colt Eastwood. So fantastically huge podcast. Shout out to Colt Eastwood, who's done really, really well for himself and has... man, like when I met Colt Eastwood, dude was like about 11,000 subs, and I think he's 100,000 plus strong. He might be even almost closing on 200,000. He's done well. He's doing well. And I can tell you this: if you're even over 10,000 subs, between the views and the super chats and everything else, if you get over 10,000 subs, you're doing okay. You're doing okay for yourself. You know what I mean? Like the channel will start to actually bring in some revenue, which is cool. Like I said, a lot of us don't start this for the money and expect anything in them, and I certainly don't. But I'm not going to lie to anybody. It's not a bad feeling when you get, your first paycheck from YouTube that, hey, man, your channel did these many numbers this month, and here's a paycheck for you. That's kind of cool. Maybe it goes towards a new game. Maybe it goes towards, a prize, a giveaway for the community. So, but that's kind of where we are on things, guys. It's just that I wanted to come in and touch base with you because I know it's been a while since I've talked to a lot of you outside of gaming. Again, I've been gaming with Stevie Mac and hope to game with a lot of you guys as well. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I want your feedback. I want your support. I mean, people don't want me to come back. I won't, but I mean, I got to do what's right for me. Whether 10 people show up and support me if I come back, or a lot of the guys say, you know what, screw Newf Nukem, whatever. He's full of shit. He's just going to come back. He's going to leave. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I'll come back and leave again. Who the fuck knows? But that's my prerogative. At the end of the day, whether I'm gone or I'm here, it makes a difference. If you like my personality and like the way we talk about games and all that sort of stuff, then that's all that really matters, right? At the end of the day. So, yeah, we'll see how things go, right? So, but I just wanted to come in and say hello to everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And again, don't take life for granted. Don't take any of this stuff for granted, because it's here one day and it's coming next. And I think about 48-year-old, and it breaks my heart to see Sam Rivers of Limp Bizkit pass away. Guy was extremely talented, very creative, was an energy driving force behind Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit is one of my favorite bands, despite a lot of people hate them for no good reason, but I love Limp Bizkit. I love their tunes. The song My Way is literally probably one of my favorite songs of all time. The riff is incredible. The words, they hit home for me. Love that tune. One of the best songs. So, but anyway, guys, I'm not going to take up the rest of your night. I'm going to play some games. Who knows, might be able to even stream a little bit tonight, but just wanted to come in and say hello and let you know, like I said, if I come back, things will be the same, but they will also be different as well, meaning that, getting rid of the sort of the R-rated stuff and trying to get rid of a lot of the negativity and just have a fun podcast that the average gamer can come out and enjoy and go from there. So I'll still be funny. I'm sure I'll still have some great stuff. And like I said, I've got a lot of ideas that I have to kind of put on pencil and see what I think is going to work. And then hopefully they work with the community. But until next time, guys, I'll see some of you on the Xbox or on the PlayStation. I hope you have yourself a great night and get back to gaming. So many great games. This has been one of the best years we've had in 4 or 5 for sure. The games just keep coming. And it's a great time to be a gamer, despite, like I said, there's a lot of negativity stuff and there's a lot of crazy stuff with the game industry that makes you cringe and scratch your head sometimes. But at the end of the day, we've also been given some pretty damn amazing games with saying that. So, yeah, so I want everybody to take care, and I will see you all very soon. And let me know, like I said, give me some ideas. Let me know what you'd like to see, if it's multi-plat, if it's focused on a platform, that sort of stuff. And because what I'm always finding is sometimes the multi-platform stuff doesn't fly either, because it's like you're trying to please everybody, but you're pleasing nobody. So I don't know. But anyway, guys, have yourself a great night. We will see you on the next round. Take care, and we'll catch you soon. Cheers, everybody.